Sneed snubbed as a Pro Bowler. Let's talk about it.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome into Outside the Trenches, presented by our friends at Five Farms. Irish Cream Liqueur. I'm Tucker Franklin, hanging out with the fellas. We got a full squad today on Outside the Trenches. We're back to full strength. Nick Leckey to your right-hand side that you guys are looking at. Big B Brien Hanley underneath me on the screen. You guys are just going to hear their voices on the audio side of it. So good thing I started off an audio podcast with a visual gag. Nick Leckey, how you doing, sir?
I'm great. I'm recharged, rejuvenated, ready for this last boring week of football. It's fantastic. It's great.
Looks like it will be a boring week. We'll dive into that a little bit more as the show moves on. Oh, sorry, Big B.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the terrible towel.
Wait a minute. I mean, I've made a bet. Look, the Steelers called me and they said, look, we need your help. Can you wear Steelers stuff all week? And I'm wearing a Steelers shirt every day this week because we got to have it. We got to have the game. So, you do what you're asked to do sometimes, even though you don't want to do it.
I get it. Got to do your 1/11th. That's really how all successful teams are built. You just got to do your 1/11th. I get it, Big B. Glad you're back with us. We've been a couple weeks, a little Christmas hiatus as we went through the holidays. Glad that you're back. How's everything on your end down there in the Big D in Dallas?
It is good. It was good to be gone. I hadn't seen my mom in a little bit, so went home to Louisville, got to see her, see the family. It was a good time. But back and looking to have some fun. I can't wait for the rest of this football season, man.
Lots of exciting games, right? Like especially this week, chock full of exciting games. But let's talk about. So I had created the show link about, and I had made it about week 18, players not playing. Patrick Mahomes not playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't know right now if Travis Kelce is going to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's got a record on the line that he's trying to surpass, and we'll definitely talk about that stuff. And there's a lot of players around the National Football League not playing on week 18. As seating is pretty much already locked up. There's only a few different seating situations that can change. But as I was, preparing for the show, the Pro Bowl rosters came out. And we can have a conversation about just the Pro Bowl in general. They're trying new things. I appreciate what they're doing. But the biggest thing to me that came out, Sneed, the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, pretty good player. Not on the list for the AFC cornerback room when you look at who the starters were, just on the roster in general. Sneed was actually named an alternate, which not sure how that's going to work in flag football, but he was named an alternate. Other Chiefs players that did make the roster for the Pro Bowl: Creed Humphrey, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Tooney. The Chiefs are sending 5 players to the Pro Bowl. Big B, I want to get your reaction to not only just, I think the Niners led the way with the most players and most starters, but your reaction to Chiefs having 5 guys get sent to the Pro Bowl and Sneed not being one of them.
Yeah, I think it's tacky. Look, they put in Jalen Ramsey. The guy played 9 games. I mean, I don't see how you can make the Pro Bowl after making 9 games. Now, I'm not saying he's not one of the top 4 or 5 corners in the league. Some people still have him in top 2 or 3. Okay. But he played 9 games. That you can't qualify for the Pro Bowl when you play half the season. Otherwise, what are we doing? So it's that kind of stuff. I don't think we take it away from the fans per se, because I think the fans are a huge part of why the NFL is the NFL. At the same time, you got to put some more parameters in there. Like, you shouldn't be able to vote for a guy if he doesn't play a certain number of games. They shouldn't be able to even be on the ballot. Even if the fans vote him in, the players can't vote him in, or it's something's got to give when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to knock on Jalen Ramsey. I'm just telling the truth.
I think the Pro Bowl's always been a joke. I think the Pro Bowl's always been a lag of where you were the past couple of years, and that's how you get in. Which, by the way, did TJ Watt make it in?
No.
Mm-mm.
Which that's another one, right? That's another one. Like what's the deal?
Exactly.
And so to me, I've always thought it should be where like as an offensive lineman, as a player, you got to vote, and we'd all vote as a team on a Wednesday. We'd all get together before meeting or whatever and say, hey, we'd ask like the wide receivers, hey, who are the good DBs? And we'd ask them, hey, who's good? And I feel like it should be, if you're an O lineman, you vote for the best D lineman that you've seen.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You should always vote for who you have to play against, because I never knew who the safeties were, who the corners were. So I always thought it was foolish. So I think everyone could vote on quarterbacks to see, what they were. But I feel like the vote should be stripped from the fans, because you look at the Niners had so many people at every position making, just because they're the winningest team, right? So it's always the winningest team puts out the most Pro Bowl guys, and it's just it's silly.
Chiefs didn't have a leading vote getter at their position. Travis Kelce was second among tight ends when it comes to just the fan voting. Tua Tagovailoa is actually the starting quarterback for the AFC squad in the Pro Bowl, if that tells you anything. Which there was a really cool video released on the Tua helmet cam from HBO. I don't know if you guys saw that. Just of like what a quarterback sees. That's really cool. But Tua, Lamar, and Mahomes are the quarterbacks. The running backs, Raheem Mostert, James Cook, Derrick Henry. Alec Ingold made it as a fullback. Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Jamar Chase are the wide receivers for the AFC. Travis Kelce is the starting tight end for the AFC, with David Njoku as the number 2. For tackles, Laramie Tunsil, Deion Dawkins, and Teron Armstead made it. For guards, Quentin Nelson, Joe Bitonio, and Joe Tooney made that as well. Not a starter, but he did make it. Creed Humphrey is the starting center, with Tyler Linderbaum as the backup. That's the offense. For the defense, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Trey Henderson are your 3 defensive ends. Your interior defensive lineman, Chris Jones, is a starter. He was denoted as one. Quentin Williams from the New York Jets, and Justin Madbakuki. I don't think I said that right, but I tried to say it fast enough so you guys wouldn't notice. From the Ravens. And it does say that TJ Watt did make it as an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
As
he just wasn't one of the top
edge
vote getters. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So he made it as an outside linebacker. Khalil Mack made it as an outside linebacker as well, with Josh Allen from the Jaguars. Inside linebackers and middle linebackers, they had Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, both Ravens guys. And cornerbacks for the AFC, Pat Surtain II, Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, and Denzel Ward. Free safeties, Justin Simmons and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Strong safety, Kyle Hamilton for the Baltimore Ravens. I want to circle back to the cornerback room here. Pat Surtain, Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, and Denzel Ward. Do you think L'Jarius Sneed didn't make it because he doesn't have a cool nickname like Sauce or PS2? He doesn't have
That's the fan vote. That's the fan vote. That's the fan vote for you, to me, in my opinion. Who's winning and who's got a cool name and who was good last year or the year before?
I mean, because like I don't want. Obviously, I'm a Chiefs fan, right? Like, this is a Chiefs network. People can see this and be like, "Oh, of course, the Chiefs fan on this podcast is upset that L'Jarius Sneed didn't make the Pro Bowl." Yeah, but I feel like I got some pretty good arguments to like why L'Jarius Sneed should be in the Pro Bowl. He's got the most coverage snaps this year without allowing a touchdown, 570 snaps in coverage, has not allowed a touchdown. I think that's incredible. If you look at just the passer rating allowed from the cornerback position, he's third. Minimum 60 targets. He's been targeted a ton and is still not allowing guys to have successful passer rating against him. It's 54.7 coming into week 18 is his passer rating against, which is an insane number from him. And even last week on Jamar Chase, the dude has locked guys up. Like, he has locked up number 1 wide receivers consistently. This is from Next Gen Stats. L'Jarius Sneed aligned from Jamar Chase on 21 of his 34 routes, allowing 2 receptions for 27 yards on 3 targets. Chase gained fewer receiving yards than expected, -6, for the first time in his 5 career games versus the Chiefs. L'Jarius Sneed is locking guys down consistently, number 1 wide receivers, and Drew Tranquil brought this up in a tweet that he made after the Pro Bowl rosters were announced. L'Jarius Sneed not making the Pro Bowl is an absolute joke. You can't possibly watch the tape and tell me this man isn't a top 4 corner in the AFC. Just ask Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, and the rest of the Pro Bowl wide receivers. Look, I tend to agree with Drew Tranquil. He's got a pretty good list of guys that he shut down, and he has been very successful again this year. I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't a top 4 corner in the AFC. Maybe that has to do with fan voting, right? Maybe that does have to do with, you would think that players and coaches having 2/3 of the vote would kind of right that wrong, but man, that's a tough pill to swallow for me.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. Like I said, what are they basing it on? I mean, at some point, there's got to be some sort of set criteria. I mean, like you mentioned, the guy shut down the Pro Bowl receivers. He did that. Yeah. And if you're doing that, tell me again how you can't be considered one of the top 4 cornerbacks in your conference. I just don't get it. I mean, everybody thinks that Patrick Surtain was better than him. If you go by the numbers, he was not. Sneed was better than him this year. Sauce Gardner, he was better than him this year. Jalen Ramsey didn't play half the football games. Denzel Ward is the one guy that I will say, I don't know if Sneed was better or if Ward was better, but they both should have been on it. The other guys, let them fight it out. But, you know, it's like Nick said, it's a lot of reputation and it's silly.
Cosign.
There it is. We need to, let's start we need a cool nickname for L'Jarius Sneed now. You always have your need for Sneed. That was one that started pretty early on. But he almost needs to get a cool nickname to go by, I guess. Is what you need to do if you're a cornerback, is get a cool nickname to get people to vote for you. When it comes down to these things. But any other snubs that you guys saw on the list? I think I saw Anton Winfield. Somebody brought him up about him not making it there. Anything else that comes to mind, Big B?
No, I mean, I'm looking at the list here. I mean, not
is Brock
really.
Purdy getting in a snub?
Is it no? No. The one thing that I thought is not troubling, but just weird. Tua's the starter. Lamar Jackson's going to be the MVP.
Yeah.
To me, that's just weird.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. But I didn't really see a whole lot of snubs on here. Especially, I mean, the offensive line, I don't know. No, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Nothing that just stands out and screams, oh, this is a miscarriage of justice. No, I didn't see any.
Yeah, I'm going through. As long as Penei Sewell and Trent Williams over on the other side, over on the NFC, got it. I think honestly, this is the first time I've seen the NFC. Or wait, are we doing that next?
No, yeah,
I'll run through
the NFC real quick.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time focusing on the AFC on this podcast because it's more fun. And, we have rooting interest in the AFC. But looking at the NFC, Brock Purdy is the starting quarterback with Dak Prescott and Matt Stafford lining that up. Running backs, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, and Kyron Williams. Kyle Juszczyk getting the fullback nod. Wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and Puka Nacua getting the nod there. Tight ends, George Kittle and Sam Laporta. Tackles, Trent Williams, Lane Johnson, and Penei Sewell. I think that's a good selection of tackles right there. Guards, Zach Martin. Wow, I almost had a stroke right there. Chris Lindstrom and Landon Dickerson. Jason Kelce is your starting center with Frank Ragnow as the backup center from the Detroit Lions. On defense, Nick Bosa and Montez Sweat are your 2 starting defensive ends with Aiden Hutchinson. Interior linemen, Aaron Donald and Dexter Lawrence. Those are your 2 starters with Javon Hargrave. Outside linebacker, Micah Parsons, Daniil Hunter, and Hassan Reddick. Middle linebackers, Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner. I mean, you could just copy and paste that from the last 7 years and you'd be set. Yeah. Cornerback Deron Bland for the Cowboys, Tarvarius Ward for the Niners, Jalen Johnson from the Bears, Devon Witherspoon from the Seahawks, Jesse Bates is your free safety, and Budda Baker and Julian Love are your strong safeties. We didn't mention the specialties.
It's okay.
We can go back.
No, we don't. We won't. No, we won't.
Nick, anything on there that sticks out to you?
No, not really. I think Daniil Hunter, I'm super glad he's able to recover from his issues from last year.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons, I think they're solid outside linebackers. Very underrated. Very underrated Daniil Hunter. I think he's a fantastic player. And, me and Micah Parsons, it's him and Mika battled last week, and that was cool to watch. Detroit, Dallas, it was really cool. Really cool to see that kind of matchup. You don't see those many 90s heavyweight boxing matchups too often, and it was a fun one to watch. Game within the game type stuff.
Anything for you, Big B?
No, the only, like I said, the one cool thing that I thought, and this is over on the AFC side, is Marvin Mims. He is from Lone Star High School, which is about 30 seconds from my house here in Frisco. So I thought that was cool. But the only snub that I thought, like I said, Julian Love over Winfield, I just thought, I mean, the Seahawks secondary wasn't good, and he was part of that secondary.
Yeah.
So, and I know Witherspoon was too, and Witherspoon is good, but I just don't see how he was over Winfield, but it is what it is.
Because he made that interception versus the Eagles. That's why. Loved it.
Yeah, that must have been it. Again, everybody watched it. Yep, everybody saw it, and there it is.
That's why. And that's why your fan vote gets rejected. You go from 33.3% to 5% of the vote.
So I was looking at the wide receivers because I saw some people wanting Amon-Ra St. Brown in there. Had a good year, but he's not going to be over CD Lamb or AJ Brown or Mike Evans and Puka the year that he's having. I mean, I don't know if anyone would have saw Puka. I don't know. I mean, there's some good talent evaluators out there that saw what Puka is doing, but man, I don't know if a lot of people could have projected this type of year for Puka in LA. And I think it did help that he had a lot of a lion's share of the snaps starting out with Cooper Kupp being hurt. That probably helped him get going, but I don't know. I don't know if I see Amon-Ra over those four wide receivers.
Maybe Mike Evans. He's got more yards than Mike Evans, but that's about it.
Mike Evans is wildly consistent.
Yes,
also.
he is.
It's just that dude's going to get 1,000 yards.
He's like the Curtis Martin of the wide receiver position.
Oh, man.
Every year. Every year.
I was always confused how he always made Pro Bowls. Always
Curtis Martin?
Yeah.
He just constantly,
Jets,
the guy had 1,500 yards. Guy he ends his career. He's like fourth on the rushing list when he retired. It's incredible. It was incredible.
That and Gore were the ones that surprised me. Oh man, they had that many yards. What?
Well, Gore played for 50 years, so
yeah, because he had a skull. He had a skull. He had an iron skull. That dude was tough as nails, man. For
nearly played with his son. I mean, his son's at Southern Miss right now.
Exactly, that's crazy.
Almost, and at running back too. That's a wild position to be at too. To do that too. I think what's funny to me is you look at the snubs that never is a snub is wide receiver. I think wide receiver is one of the easiest things to sort of see. Because obviously they get the ball, they don't get the ball, and they catch it or they don't catch it. So I think that's the one that's always wow, you really don't have any complaints with the wide receiver.
No.
Whereas the opposite is that their brethren on the other side always get snubbed. And like we just talked about, name this snub.
Nope, you're exactly right.
So the Chiefs did have 5 alternates. I'm not sure how this is. I assume if it's just people who opt out of the Pro Bowl, or obviously the teams that go to the Super Bowl, their players don't participate. And if somebody just declines a free vacation, that they get to go and have a free vacation is basically how this is going to work. L'Jarius Sneed was one of those alternates with Trey Smith, Isaiah Pacheco, Willie Gay, and Nick Bolton. I wonder how they determine those alternates. There's we feel bad, so we'll put them on the alternate list type of deal. I mean, golly, I don't know. The Pro Bowl, I think, and let's have this conversation about the Pro Bowl, because they're trying to do things right. They're trying to fix the Pro Bowl. They're trying to make people want to watch it. They're trying to make players want to be there. They're gonna have a flag football game. It's going to be on ESPN, ABC, Disney. They're putting it on all of it, so the kids will enjoy it too. But they're going to have the skills games as well, which I thought was really cool in the old days when they did it out in Hawaii. I can remember the videos of Peyton Manning doing the throwing competitions and stuff like that. That's fun. I like to watch that stuff. I like to watch it for the NBA weekend, right, when they do the skills competition and everything. I think that's really fun. But yeah. they're trying different things down there. It's a flag football game. So we'll see how that works. They're moving it to Orlando this year instead of Vegas because Vegas has the Super Bowl. I think they messed up moving it from Hawaii, truthfully. That's my idea. That's my opinion.
100%. It's such a pretty environment to see, and it's tropical, and it's February, and with the Super Bowl being so much later these years, you want to see that. Like, you want to have a little mini vacation. So I want to look at View Hawaii. I want to see them do stuff, and they should add a damn wing eating contest to the Pro Bowl. That would be fun. That would be really fun. I love the video of Larry Allen repping out 225 55 times. You can't do that because players don't want to risk injury, but there's some stuff you could do where can't player position in the flag football or have like a true 7-on-7. I think that'd be fun.
But guys would get hurt. Big linemen out there trying to play wide out, they would absolutely get hurt. They would get hurt.
Or maybe they'd crush it after they learn how to report. They could be eligible.
Let's talk about that. But let's take a break first, and then we'll get into kind of some of the bigger storylines heading into Week 18 and some that came out of Week 17 going into Week 18. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Appreciate everybody hanging out with us on Outside the Trenches, presented by our friends at Five Farms Irish Cream Liqueur. Hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, appreciate you. Make sure to like and subscribe. We just hit that 20,000 subscriber mark, so huge for us here at KC Sports Network as we take on another playoff run for the Kansas City Chiefs. As Nick Lynch mentioned, as he kind of alluded to it, professional tease on his part, truthfully. There was some controversy coming out of a Saturday football game that was actually Monday Night Football. Very weird situation. College football wanted to have Monday, which was New Year's Day, all to themselves for the college football semifinal. So the NFL said, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll move our game to Saturday. You guys can have Monday. It'll be a special Saturday broadcast of Monday Night Football. So that's what they did. Some great Monday games in the college football sphere of things. Some good stuff. But also a really good Saturday game with the Lions and the Cowboys, Nick. And when we were talking about like what we wanted to talk about on the show, you said, I got to talk about this. Got to talk about the 2-point play heard around the world, because look, the Lions tried to do something a little bit different. They tried to get sneaky with it. They tried to skim by the rule. I mean, look, they're not cheating, right? Like, it's not cheating, but they tried to bend the rules a little bit. And if you're not trying to bend the rules, or you're really trying type of situation. And there was a really well executed play. I thought the play was a really cool play, but they missed out on one vital part. Nick, why don't you break it down for us?
So as an offensive lineman, you have an ineligible number. So if you want to be able to touch the ball with all the rest of the children, you have to tell the white hat, hey, I'm reporting, and you have to look at the ref, make eye contact, and you got to swipe your jersey like, hey, I'm clean. So you put your hands like above your head where Ricky Bobby didn't know where to put his hands, and you got to swipe down as if you're wiping the wing juice off your jersey to say, hey, look, I can take the wing juice off my hands, double hands. Here's my numbers. I'm eligible, and you got to make sure it's your job to do that with the white hat, to check in, and then he'll let the defense know you're eligible. And they were trying to get away with it. They weren't trying to be sneaky with it, because you don't really announce yourself, give away the play, because what they do is they go, okay, Big B's eligible, or Nick is eligible now. And then they'll look for you, right. or they might not, because you say the number. So as a starting left tackle, he probably doesn't play the wing on PAT extra point or PAT field goal. So he's not used to it. So I was a backup in New Orleans, and every time I was PAT or field goal, I had to go, hey, reporting, make sure you check in case the odd chance that there was a muffed snap. Then the guy who's never thrown the ball in his life since high school will probably not throw you the ball because he's getting murdered back there. But yeah, it was like Penei Sewell was in the way. But I like how the NFL came out and was like, you know what? This is how you do it, like you do earlier, and this is how you don't do it. So yeah. But it's up to the player.
They basically tried to send 3 guys over there to try to trick the Cowboys into what was going on, and they ended up screwing themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what happened.
Exactly. And here's the bummer part now that the to win the game, to go for the win, to an offensive lineman, I was like so excited. I was like, yeah, they leaned on a big man to get to when you need the game winning points. Go to the big man.
Also, Dan Campbell just being like, "Yeah, I'm still going for the win after the penalty," was kind of insane, but I kind of love it at the same time. It's just like, wow, what are you doing? But like, if it works, everyone's like, he's a genius. He's so smart. That's just the way it works with everything like that. But no, I did think that was really interesting, and I'd actually kind of thought about like, why haven't teams tried that sooner? Like, why haven't teams tried to throw 3 guys over there? The ref is going to announce what number it is anyway, right? So, like, the ref is going to be like, okay, 68 is eligible. 68's eligible on this play. You hear it if you're at the game, you hear them announce it over the loudspeakers. They got to tell the defense. But I always wonder, Nick, why do they have to tell the defense? How come the defense can't just tell that he's eligible? You know, like, do you think that's the defense job to be able to be like, okay, yeah, we see like this guy's uncovered at the end of the line of scrimmage, so he should be eligible?
Yeah, it should be a read. It's a bizarre rule. It's like an archaic rule, but it's also one where if you had that, then like every play they would be trying to go out for route, and it would just be ultra confusing to a defense if you got like both tackles going out for routes and you don't know who to cover. And so yeah, it would be very confusing, and you'd be a way to sort of cheat, I guess, until you fix that rule. So that's why they made you report.
Yeah, I mean it's weird, you know, the whole rule in itself. But I get it, especially the way wide receivers line up these days. I don't know that you could actually tell if a guy's on the line of scrimmage or not. I mean, as close as they get, it's like, well, is the guy on? Are you supposed to ask the ref? What's going on here? So it's just, I mean, at some point, there's got to be some sort of, I don't know,
order.
Yeah, competitive order. You know, that's a great word, Nick. Competitive order to all of this.
I did like the NFL's response. I watched the video that they put out and everything of like, okay, like this is how you do it earlier in the game. I think 70 for them came in and he reported the same way, hand up. He said, hey, look, I'm eligible. And he came in the 2-point conversion the same way. So like to obviously show that like he was reporting, but I do think that I think this is kind of a hot word right now, right? Some accountability needs to be held for the official, though. If he's not saying anything and he's got 2 dudes in front of him he's got 1 guy in front of him trying to actively check in outside of the dude who's running towards him. I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of understanding that needs to be had there, but maybe you just can't do that. And I think that's what the NFL came out and said. Don't do that anymore. It's basically what they came out and said. Just don't do it. Just stick to the way we've always done it until there's a new way to do it, and then we'll always do it that way. That's how the NFL will run and will always run and that sort of things. But man, that was a great game though. Like the inning is phenomenal.
It was a spectacular game. The thing about it is that, to be honest with you, the play should have never even happened. If the referees hadn't messed up a tripping call, right? You know, 2 minutes before that, I'm like, I don't even see how that's possible. And they called a penalty on the Cowboys, which I literally, you guys know me, I hope the Cowboys lose every game. But they call a tripping penalty on the Cowboys when clearly it was a tripping penalty on Detroit. If that penalty goes the right way, the Cowboys run the clock out and the game's over. So it's just, oh, man, it was just horrible. Horrible officiating.
And then the press, and then I think too, there's also confusion when you're doing a 2-point. It changes things because usually it's like, okay, they're going to go for 1, whatever. Then it's 2-point. Then it's kind of confusion because then you go from you were lined under the goalpost and now you got to go back out to the side, and then you're getting ready for this and you're counting 11 in the huddle. There's a lot of moving parts. It's like Grand Central Station, players in and out. So you're trying to do the number count, trying to get whatever. So it's a lot. It's a lot going on. And also McCarthy for throwing it on 2nd down earlier too. Like, I mean, after that press conference, it felt like McCarthy lost. Like it was legitimately McCarthy's like, I lost that one. Like I got bailed out. I got bailed out by that one.
Play call, just the clock management that guy has had for years. It's just been horrible.
Why?
I mean, don't you ever get better at that?
It seems so silly. Like, what do you don't have a guy who can count to 40 times 3?
I mean, simple. Simple stuff,
right?
people.
Yeah, just hand the ball off. You don't
Just
got to
hand
win
the
it.
ball off.
Yeah, like what they say, the best military victories. It's not this head to head whatever. No, it's retreat, slash and burn. Let the weather take care of the rest. It's foolish.
I do think, especially at like the NFL level, why not just like hire an analyst whose only job is clock management? To be in your ear and be like, okay, here's what's going to happen. We have the football. There's a minute and a half left. This is what we need to do to get down to this right here. To end the game with the ball in our hands, keep the clock running. They've got 3 timeouts. We got to do that. I'm sure they do have a guy like that, not necessarily specifically designed for that, but I mean, to have a guy whose sole job is like clock management. Andy Reid used to be really bad at clock management. We don't talk about that a whole lot anymore. I feel like he's gotten a little bit better about that as time's gone on. But man, that is one thing that was really big. That game swung some momentum for the Cowboys there as they win that game on Saturday. Eagles lose on Sunday to the Cardinals, and all of a sudden, the Cowboys are the 2 seed. Like this has kind of been a wild year in both conferences of just like it's gonna happen this week. Yeah, it's gonna happen this week where when the Bills beat the Dolphins, they're gonna end up being the 2 seed. Sorry, Big B. It was the wrong result for you. But see, it's going to be that big of a swing. Like someone's going to go from a 2 seed to a 6 seed, which is kind of a wild thing for that to happen. But it's been like that all year, just with the parity across the league, and we've talked about that several times on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I mean, the parity. We all love the parity. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I just think usually when you see teams collapse, it's they've gotten injured or, the coaching, something has happened within the team to where the team's not the same as what they were before and they've collapsed. That didn't happen with the Eagles. The Eagles have just completely fallen apart. But their defense just all of a sudden can't tackle, can't stop anything. Their offense, they cannot run the football. They literally can't run the football anymore. I don't know. Jalen Hurts is banged up, but they should still be able to hand the ball off to a Pro Bowl running back, I might add. And they have 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen on their football team, and yet they still can't run the football. I think a lot of that has to do offensive coordinator is way out of his league. He's first year on the job. I think he's just completely lost whatever he had. And it's just amazing the collapse of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't, like you said, Nick, usually it's somebody gets hurt or a bunch of guys get hurt. That hasn't happened, man.
Body blows. I think it's a lot of body blows from that 5-game stretch. And they escaped it, but they might have won the battles, but they lost the war.
Yeah.
I mean, when you lose to Arizona at home during a Call of Duty patch, like, come on. He's not even playing now, is he? Was Kyler even playing? I don't even know. I think it was someone else.
No, he's out there. Kyler's out there. He was making some plays. Running around in between. He had the Call of Duty on the sideline, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Our King Kyler. No, I was kind of shocked by that result. I didn't watch that game. I can't remember what else was going on at that time. I didn't.
There was a lot going on. Nobody even paid attention to that game, Tucker. Everybody thought it was just.
And they were up. They were up.
Yeah, they were up like 21-6.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's brutal.
Because I can remember like looking back at him being like, "Oh, they lost," and I was just like, "How come like that wasn't on my radar?" Yeah. That makes a whole lot of sense. I just did not even like think about paying attention to that game, and they ended up dropping it. And looking at the playoff picture right now, 6 teams have clinched in the NFC. There are 2 playoff spots available. That's not 6 of them, I guess. So there's 2 left. Yeah. So that would be 5. I'm great at math, guys. Don't worry. The Buccaneers and the Packers are in the hunt currently right now on the bubble. Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, and somehow the Falcons are still alive, and it is physically possible for them to make the playoffs. I don't think it's a great shot, but they are actually alive. If they win this week against the Saints, they have a 36% chance to make the playoffs. Actually insane. Saints win, they got a 51% chance. And the Buccaneers, when they're good, they've got a 99% chance. They're really close to clinching that up too. And same thing with the Packers. So it seems like the NFC field is somewhat set when it comes down to it. But looking at the AFC, there's still 3 playoff spots available with the Jaguars, Bills, and Colts. If the season ended right now, they would be in the Jaguars, the Bills, and the Colts. But as Big B mentioned earlier, the Steelers in the hunt there. If they beat the Baltimore Ravens. Which are the Ravens playing, people? Are they?
And playing absolutely nobody.
Huge.
Everybody's sitting.
That is huge. That is huge because if they win, they have a 63% chance to make the playoffs. Interesting to note, too, Texans right now would not make the playoffs, but if they do beat the Indianapolis Colts, they have a greater than 99% chance is what Next Gen Stats is saying right here, if they are to beat the Indianapolis
Well, they'll win the
Colts.
division. If they beat the Colts, they win the division.
That division stinks.
You know, that's the thing, is that the Texans own the tiebreaker over both of them. So over the Colts and the Jags. So if the Texans win, because they play the Colts,
right,
they'll win the division. So the Steelers, we got a shot. We just have a shot. And that's all you can ask. That's all you can ask.
No, listen, I like a doomsday scenario. So I'm rooting for Atlanta to beat New Orleans and Carolina to beat Tampa and still get the number one draft pick.
Ooh.
Because they've got number 1 locked up. So
they got it locked up. It's going to the Bears.
Yeah.
Oh no. They trade for Matt Rule. They trade for Matt Rule or something.
They traded up. Remember, they traded up last year from 9
Bryce.
to 1 to get Bryce Young.
Boy.
So the Bears got the pick. But
How
it's
about
the Bears, you know they're gonna screw it up.
They'll find a way.
Yeah.
Listen, one of my best friends is a Bears fan. And
I like how you keep him private. You keep him private like he's a billionaire.
He's a Bears fan.
It's Taylor Swift.
Gotta hide his identity because the thing about it is I feel like no matter if they pick at number 1 overall, if they pick Drake May or if they pick Caleb Williams, whoever they don't pick is going to be a stud. Like, that's just how it's going to go. Like,
right. Exactly.
Like, if they pass, I really like Drake May. I think Drake May can be a really good quarterback in the NFL. It looks like he could be a very good in structure quarterback, everything like that. I think that he could be a pretty good NFL quarterback. But if they draft Drake May over Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams is going to be just insane. And kind of on the flip side too, I think Caleb Williams, you watch the plays that he makes, he's an insane playmaker. He can make those out of structure plays like Mahomes can. I know that a lot of comparisons early on were about Mahomes. I don't see that necessarily in his game. He's really good out of structure, everything of that. He can make things happen with his arm, with his legs, stuff like that. Drake May from North Carolina.
I know. Dude, when has there ever been a good North Carolina quarterback? It's up there with USC. I don't know. I am banning draft talk right now for
helmet scouting. You're helmet scouting because of Mitch Trubisky. That's what you're doing. Because if the Bears draft another North Carolina quarterback and it doesn't go well, they are going to riot in that city. They are not going to want North Carolina. But I'm saying if they draft Caleb Williams, Drake May is going to go off somewhere. Like, he's going to go and be a really, that's just how it's going to go.
That's a good one.
And I feel bad.
I can agree with that.
I feel bad for it because they're going to have 2 top 8 picks or something like that, depending on where the Bears end up. And they're going to maybe they just avoid it altogether and just give Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's what they should do. They should just keep Fields.
Honestly.
Fields, draft Harrison. You got to draft Harrison first, though.
Yes.
Because if you wait, because the Cardinals are going to be right there and they are going to take them. So they got to draft Harrison first, then get a tackle, then spend all that cap money, rebuild the defense. The Bears have an opportunity to be really good. They're not that far away, but it's the Bears. They're going to screw it up. They're just going to do it. They're going to screw it up.
The Bears are so bad that we're still getting at Matt Nagy Bears. He's still got some Bears stench on him. That's why he's stifling this offense with this Soldier Field nonsense.
Gosh,
I believe that wholeheartedly. The Bears, because he went there and they were okay at first, and then he just started soaking in the Bears, and they got worse and worse. And then they let him go, and he's like, "Okay, thank you, just let me out of here. Just get me out of here."
People forget he drug Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs.
Yes, he did. First year.
Drug Mitch Trubisky to an MVP. A Nickelodeon valuable player is what that is in the playoff game.
Didn't he have like, what do you have like stupid stats? His stats for like
Well,
a 58
what happened
quarterback rating?
What happened was all the adults won. They did. What happened was during the Nickelodeon game is all the adults were watching because it was the first Nickelodeon game. And they'd be like, how funny would it be if we went and voted for Mitch Trubisky, the losing quarterback in this game, to win that award?
They stuffed the ballot boxes, man, and then the
brutal. Brutal.
We said
I've had to deal with Mitchell Trubisky basically the last 3 weeks. He's been our quarterback before Rudolph came in. Yeah. I don't even see how the guy's in the league anymore. I just have no clue. No clue.
I don't see it. I just don't see it. I really don't. It's terrible. Like if you're the Bears, you're like, hey, we really want to draft Drake May. And then when you go up to the draft thing, like give him the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should go against what when you're a better in a slump and you go against yourself.
Go against yourself. We know we're going to screw it up. We're going to have this name written down no matter what. And just give it to them.
Yeah,
don't trust your instincts. That's right. I'm with you, Nick. I'm picking up what you were putting down, brother.
They're so bad. And Justin Fields is so bad. Like it was so bad. Like they're losing games, 6-7. And it's like, it's like this. Yeah. I don't get it, to be honest. And you got a great defense. You got a great home field advantage. And even in 06, we played them in Monday night with the Cardinals, and they beat us without scoring an offensive touchdown. That was who we thought they were, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the Bears for you, right? Even freaking Ditka. They had one of the greatest running backs of all time, didn't even get a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
How do you not give the ball to that guy? It's just unbelievable.
Also, that franchise has never had a 5,000-yard passer.
Yeah, no. No, they haven't had good quarterbacks ever.
Have they had a 1,000-yard passer? I'd be curious.
I mean, when Jay Cutler is like the best quarterback,
he was really good for them. He was really good. He was really good for them.
Christmas.
That's awesome.
Nick in the chat, producer Nick says, put some respect on Rex Grossman's name. That's true. I mean, Rex Grossman, we might have to dip back into that bowl. Bears fans are out here saying we just need the next Rex Grossman. That's all we need.
Hey,
the next Rex Grossman.
I'm not even messing around with you guys, but they need to trade their first round draft pick for Mr. Elite himself, Mr. New Year's himself, Joe Flacco. Because Joe Flacco will turn your Great Lake City around, man.
No, it
starts
won't.
with the C.
No, it won't.
Don't be a hater.
Joe Flacco
Don't be a hater. I know you say that.
6 games a year.
That's it,
He's
bro.
good for about 6 games a year.
Bring him in late December.
I was going to say, you bring him in late December, he'll be just fine.
He's like Cinderella. He's like the pumpkin turns after game 7 turns into a pumpkin. Yeah. Or after he gets paid, right? He turns like a gremlin. He's like a gremlin, right? What's the category of a gremlin, right? It's more than 6 games or given the bag.
He got that bag and he immediately turned awful. Immediately.
Listen, I'm good. He's trying to get that Scott Frost. He's trying to get on that Scott Frost. Fire me. I get more if I get fired today. What I got to do?
I wonder what Scott Frost is up to right now.
You talk about a backroom deal. They could have waited a month to fire him, and it cost them like $8 million less, something stupid. Like, are you kidding me?
I'd be trying to get fired too. I'd be doing that math. Yeah. And like my agent would call me like, hey, buddy, you got to get fired. You got to get fired. Because, all right, hold my beer while I get another beer, basically.
It's the quote that Coach O had when LSU was like, hey, we're gonna have to let you go. We are gonna honor your buyout there. We're gonna give you, I think it was like what, $8 million at the time. Yeah. He said, "What dollar and what time?" He said, "I will abide by that. If you're gonna give me $8 million."
That would be me. I would be tan. I'd be so tan, and I'd be picking fights because I'd be drunk all the time.
Hey, Coach O he went the whole route. He got divorced. He divorced his wife. He just said, like, my goodness, this guy has completely gone off the reservation.
He did.
I wonder what he's doing. A lot of these coaches too, with like the buyouts, is like the part of the buyout is like they can't take another job for X amount of years or like anywhere else for them to continue to get their buyout. Like they got it. It's like they're saying like you have to stay at home for us to give you this money, which is insane. It is insane
because otherwise the other school has to dip in and pay that school whatever it is. Yeah, they have to whatever the contract is. But at some point though, you get to an age and you're just like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I've done it for 30 years. I am like Jimbo Fisher. If Jimbo Fisher comes back and coaches anywhere, he's one of the most insane people on the planet.
He really does love football if he comes back.
Golly. I mean, that guy.
You wouldn't see me. You wouldn't see me.
No.
I mean, off the planet. I wouldn't even have a cell phone. Like, you have to send a carrier pigeon to come holler at me. Seriously. Like, you just, I'm in my bunker.
Yes.
Scrooge McDuck in it in my pool made of gold doubloons.
Oh, Jimbo. 75 or $78 million to just go away.
Just stay away.
Please don't impact our football team ever again.
Give us all your Aggie gear.
I'm trying to figure out if Coach O's. I don't think Coach O's doing anything.
He's not. He's not doing. Last time I saw him on Twitter, he was on some beach.
Yes,
Somebody
me too.
just picked up a cell phone and he's on some beach with some woman out there that had like dental floss on. This guy is living his life.
It's probably true love. It's probably true love.
Yeah, of course. Again, oh my gosh, I just Googled Scott Frost to see what he was doing, and then the first thing I see is a YouTube video that says Scott Frost is Iowa's OC. I mean, I tell you what, talk about a spicy end to that rivalry there. But that would be an awful hire.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't score a point in 2 games.
They sure didn't.
Like, I think the last 116 minutes of Brian Ferentz's like offensive coordinator career was 0 points or something like that.
That's awful.
That's bad. It might have been 160. I might be dyslexic on that one. It might have been 161 instead of 116. I'll have to go back and find that tweet. But it's like he did not score any points for a
not even a field goal.
Correct.
No, they got a field goal at the end of the Nebraska game.
Right. So it's from
the last game they won, but they scored a touchdown like the first 2 drives and then not another one. the rest of the year. The rest of the year.
Could you imagine like only kicking the ball off once in a game for like 2 games? Like your kickoff team is like, I don't know what to do. What is this?
Man.
How do we do this?
How do we line up? I forgot. It's been a while. Like I don't know this multiple times.
Yeah.
What a way for Brian Ferentz to go out, by the way. Like he's leaving. Like he's not their offensive coordinator anymore. I don't think Kirk really agreed with the university basically stepping in and being like, hey, you've got to fire your son. Like you gotta get him out of here. And I don't think he really agreed with it, but they also fired him and said, you can continue to coach for the rest of the year, which is a wild move.
That's a wild move.
Yeah,
not only that, they put it in your contract that you have to score 25 points a game.
Couldn't get it.
And by week 4, they're like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen.
Mathematically eliminated. Right. Put a big E next to you. Eliminated.
Like those Patriots.
Right.
That is sad.
Scarlet letter, man. Scarlet letter.
We divulged down the college path there for a little bit.
My bad.
No. It's Nick's fault for bringing up the Bears. And then I started talking about Caleb Williams and Drake May. And then we started talking about how bad the Bears are. And then somehow that led to bad offenses. But anyway, let's get to my Blind Nil. Let's start up Blind Nil. You guys kind of defeats the purpose of Blind Nil because you guys know what I'm going to talk about, right? We've got to do the committee. We're going to take us back to Grapevine. We got to be in the Gaylord Hotel. Big B, you weren't here for the last committee meeting.
I was not.
We Florida Stated. We Florida Stated like crazy.
Stated like crazy. These are our rankings from last week.
Okay.
At number 6, the Browns came in at number 6 for us. Dropped the Chiefs off. Browns came in at number 6. Lions stayed at number 5. So Lions at number 5. The Eagles are at number 4. They dropped a spot from the week before to go to number 4. Niners fell 2 spots to number 3. Dolphins up 2 spots to number 2. And the Ravens became our top dog in our playoff scenario here. If you guys don't know, if you guys are like, what are these guys talking about? And if you stayed through the last 10 minutes of this podcast, we appreciate it. But if you got to this point, I came up with this a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago at this point, where we're ranking the NFL teams like the College Football Playoff Committee would rank the College Football Playoff Committee. So we are basically putting ourselves in the shoes of the College Football Playoff Committee, ranking teams one. We're doing 1 to 6 just to have so you have the 2 odd men out because that's how they like to do it. And that was our rankings. I just went through them from last week. That's what Nick and I came up with. And this divulged into who are we going to Florida State, basically, like who is the deserving team that we're going to leave out. And the Lions have been at number 5 since we've started this, Big B. An observation that Nick and I made. Seems kind of crazy. We did count out the Cowboys very early. Maybe they're back. Who knows? We'll have to decide. But let's open up the conversation with the number 1 seed. Do we have a consensus on the number 1 seed being the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, absolutely.
Say it, Big B. Who's the number 1 team? He's gonna have spotty internet here pretty soon.
I can't hear you. I didn't hear anything.
I think he cut out. I don't think he could hear you. That's weird. Okay, we'll keep the Ravens at number 1. I think that's probably the right choice.
Yeah.
Ravens don't move at number 1. Last week we had number 2, the Dolphins. The Dolphins.
But remember, we put them up there with the asterisk, right? Because they're going to play Baltimore, and we knew they are who we thought they were.
We knew going into it that we would get something in the realm of what happened because Baltimore looked really good in that game. Like they looked like a really good football team. The Dolphins did not quite look their best. So number 2,
we Florida Stated the Dolphins, and the Dolphins Florida Stated themselves versus Georgia. So just what Miami did versus Baltimore. They laid an egg, got trounced, and might have Florida Stated themselves all the way out.
I get it.
Georgia.
That's true.
I get it.
I'm writing in some other stuff. So number 2, Niners.
49ers.
Yeah.
Niners.
You just pure Brock Purdy's all pro.
Pro Bowl quarterback.
I love how he goes. He was telling people, I don't have enough money. I don't have to get the O-lineman gifts. And someone on Twitter was like, my guy, you make $780,000.
I mean, nobody said you had to buy $12,000 gifts, but you can figure something out.
You can do something, right?
Jeez.
His wife baked cookies. Is that what happened? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't know. I wouldn't doubt it.
Would take you up and throw you in a cold tub. You do that straight up.
Who did the Chiefs play on Christmas? Oh, no, it's Aiden O'Connell's wife who made them cookies. Is what
now he can still figure something out because that guy, he's making he was a 4th round pick. So he can figure something out.
You don't got to give him Rolexes, right?
Right. No.
We're not talking golf carts. We're not talking the Mahomes golf cart type of deal.
Oh, you can buy him like some putters or a driver, right?
Something.
$1,000 gift card somewhere.
Something.
A dinner, not cookies. Okay, sorry. The Niners are up to number 2. The number 3 and the number 4. We had Eagles at number 4. Look, that loss to the Cardinals is a bad loss. That is a bad loss on the record. They are 11-5 currently. The Eagles are same record as the Lions and the Cowboys and the Dolphins and the Browns. Ooh, the Browns. That could be a sneaky 4 team. Or
you know it. You already know it.
Nick loves the Browns. I don't know if you know this, Big B. You were gone last 2 weeks. He loves the Browns.
I've been on ever since, but when they first got Joe Flacco, I'm like that's the missing link. Remember, because this defense, that roster is amazing. The defensive roster is amazing. The O line, you got all pros. You got a badass running back. You have Njoku, right? Just give Mr. Elite a solid big body tight end that no one wants to tackle in the open field, dude. Put him at number 3 for Christ's sake. Let's do it. What do you think?
No.
Is that debatable?
No.
Debate it. Go. You're on the clock. Why?
No.
You like Dallas? You like Dallas better than them?
Ooh.
I do.
Why?
I like the Cowboys better.
They should have lost at home to Miami. Your boy McCarthy was giving a press conference like they just lost.
Okay, but they didn't lose.
True, but
Very
they're still
fair.
the same record. But they're still the same record.
Okay.
Very fair.
Cowboys,
So
3.
that's right. They're right for Florida State.
I feel like Nick's biases are getting in the way of the Cowboys.
They are getting in the way.
I'm gonna be honest here.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Who would you rather not face? Who would you rather face? Dallas
Well, it
or
depends on where
Cleveland?
they're playing. If
Exactly.
the Cowboys on the road, then I'll take the Cowboys all day long. The Cowboys
Okay.
at home, I don't necessarily want to play them at home.
They got a good home field advantage for sure. They do. Okay. All right. So Dallas at 3.
Yep.
And can we
This
agree
hurts,
Browns are Browns at 4?
Yeah, I like the Browns at 4.
If we're gonna put the Lions at 5 again.
It makes me upset, but I feel like we got to keep just what you said, Tucker. We got to keep the Lions at 5. We got to keep that going.
How are we going to Florida State Philly? We're going to Florida State Philly, aren't we?
They lost to the
terrible.
Cardinals.
They've lost 4 or 5. They're out.
Can't do that.
They're out.
Can't do that in our scenario. You can't.
They
You
have-
can't
they
lose
have a
that many
great-
in a row.
You're right. Let's forget about what they did September, October. Let's just throw that out the window. Let's just forget they had the craziest 5-game stretch ever.
Oh, they
and
haven't
survived it and
recovered.
lost.
You said it yourself. They
Mhm.
haven't recovered.
That is true.
That's true.
And
Hangover.
by the way, aren't we the committee?
We
The
are.
committee doesn't care.
Oh,
They don't care what you do. Hell,
It's
the
just-
committee
it's
doesn't care
December.
what you do the last game of the year. They don't care.
They don't.
You can win all your games. We don't care. You're not good enough.
I like that. You're right.
I mean, they don't-
We
I'm
don't.
just
We don't
saying.
think you have what it takes, and that's what I'm saying with Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't think they have what it takes to win. That's why That's why Dallas is like poo potting me. It's like I don't think they have what it takes.
Last question here. We're looking at the number 16.
Okay.
Dolphins or Eagles?
Eagles. I told you, Dolphins going to get Florida State. Man, you can't get trounced by
Yeah,
the
you're
number one
right.
team. You can't get trounced by the
lose
number one
by
team.
45 points. So
That's true.
give me
Yeah.
the Eagles.
Yeah.
Reluctantly, the Eagles. The Eagles are going to fall.
Wait,
2 spots.
Is Detroit out?
No, Detroit's
at
5. Detroit's still
They're
a 5.
All right. Okay. Thank God.
We have to keep some sort of consistency in our rankings. Detroit is the ultimate neutral. They're the 5.
Well, we need Dan Campbell energy in the mixture.
Yeah,
Oh,
we do.
that.
With
We
week
need that.
18 coming up,
Yeah.
and you leave the Lions at 5, perfect striking distance for
I
Dan
like
Campbell. to come in
motivation.
there.
Motivation.
Oh,
Because he's
man.
listening, by the way.
Oh yeah,
He's absolutely
big
paying
fan of the
attention.
pod.
He's putting this on in the team meeting. He is getting them fired up.
Big fan of the pod. Dan Campbell.
He was such a great blocking tight end too. He could really do pass pro. I mean, he was amazing to me. I played with him in New Orleans. He got hurt, but he was had long hair
Yeah, yeah.
back in the day. Great pass blocking tight end for the Lions and the
Nice.
Giants. It's good.
I just remember him being so mad at the game on Saturday. He had like dip juice flying out of his mouth, screaming at the ref. I was like, I love it. I love this guy.
He was
I mean, I'd seen him before. I just, biting off kneecaps at his opening press conference.
Oh
I don't know
boy,
how it gets better than that.
Yeah, that was
But
really cool.
he's literally spitting at the ref, just dip flying everywhere. I loved
Yep.
it. Loved every second of it.
I
we need that.
I attest. I mean, I agree. Looking at our rankings here, at number 6, we got the Eagles down 2 spots from last week. Number 5, the Lions staying put at number 5 for the how many weeks have we done this? 5th consecutive week.
We know what we're doing.
The Browns are up 2 spots to number 4. The Cowboys are at number 3, coming from not ranked from the previous week. They are in at number 3. The Niners up 1 spot to number 2, and the Ravens are still the top dog in our fictional NFL playoff committee rankings. So there's my blind nil, and
I
we've
feel
almost
like it's the exact same way. Remember, they brought teams from 7 and 8 all the way to 3 and 4, and only one team lost. I take that back. 2 teams lost. You go from 1 to out. I like it. I like the way our heads are put together, man.
Mhm.
we're doing a really good job acting like the playoff committee. I'll tell you what, we're doing a
Great job.
pretty damn good job at
We
it.
even Florida State and Miami, so we kept it within the state even too. I mean, it's pretty. pretty consistently who beat Florida State.
Florida's
Literally,
not watching the pod.
State of Florida.
State of Florida is not watching the pod.
That's not our demographic. It's not our demographic.
Get him out of here. All right. Big B, why don't you give us your blind now?
Mine's pretty simple. Do you make a New Year's resolution or do you just make New Year's goals?
I don't do any of that. I think honestly, I think it's cliche to me, but
It is.
to me, I have been reading a lot of good books like The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday and Essentialism. And they've really spoken to me. So I've tried to eliminate processes, things in my life. And it's just really, really cool.
Nice.
Those two books have really impacted me. So it's really going to help me out, I think, going forward too.
Good for you, man. Good deal.
Thank you.
I don't really make any resolutions. Part of the reason is I don't think about it until like it's 3 weeks after the new year. I'm like, oh, I was supposed to do that then. But that's never really been something I've ever done, truthfully.
Right.
Or really goals, truthfully. I just kind of the grind set, baby. Get after it every day. That's what I got. I got the grind set.
It's grind season.
One day at a time. We'll do my 111th one day at a time. I'm a coach's dream over here.
I got you. Yeah, me and the missus, we don't do New Year's resolutions and all that stuff. I mean, because you break it 2 weeks later.
Right,
we just make goals. We set a goal for ourselves, and we try to hold each other accountable, whatever it is. We even get friends involved to hold, and try to hold everybody accountable depending on what the goal is. A lot of it is circled around like, hey, let's go here on a vacation or stuff
That's a
like
good goal.
that. Yeah, like, hey, we're going on vacation. Where are we going to go? Let's have it decided by this time or whatever the case may be. So it's that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But we definitely make goals. But New Year's resolutions, people don't stick to it. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym January 1st, there's like 1 trillion people in there. You go on the 17th, there's 6 people in there. So
Yeah.
That's when you start your resolutions, actually on the 17th when everyone's gone.
there you go.
Exactly. I like that. All right. Well, mine is fairly simple because I was surprised. But what were your thoughts, Michigan, Alabama?
I was rooting for Michigan to win. I didn't think they would, though.
Same.
I thought Alabama would beat them, but I was rude because I think Harbaugh's leaving, and I think that whole BS about him cheating was a whole bunch of nothing. And so I'm rooting for him to go out on top and ride off into the NFL.
He's leaving?
Yeah, he's going to leave.
Why? He's not an NFL coach. He's a
He
college
was an NFL coach.
I mean, he made it to the
He's
Super
not-
Bowl.
He went to the Super Bowl.
Listen, bro, Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, and one of the greatest defenses of all time. I don't think so. No,
But he was
you
the
don't
coach.
get credit. So was Barry Switzer when the Cowboys won it.
That's different. That's totally different.
How's that different?
They didn't change quarterbacks in the middle of the season.
They had to. He had a concussion, and the guy played well.
Okay. All right.
Right? I mean, that was he didn't. It wasn't like a Tua Jalen Hurts situation where he made an audible. No, he was forced into it, and Colin balled out, and Alex Smith was like, "Yeah, you're dead man walking, right? Whatever. Peace out."
Great decision by
I
Saban,
guess.
by the way.
He's going back, though. I'm telling you.
Really?
He's
To
going to go
where?
back and coach the Chargers and Justin Herbert. That's where I would go if I was him.
That would suck.
People keep
Can
talking
he
about
buy
the
Alcorn?
Commanders. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, you were not
That's
leaving
no
Michigan for
quarterback.
DC. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, why would you do
Stan
that? That makes
College.
no sense.
Hey, you know who the greatest coach of all time is, to me, in my opinion? Is
Nick Saban.
No, you're silly. That's too easy. Gary Patterson. You know why Gary Patterson at TCU? Gary Patterson recruited me in like 99, for Christ's sakes, and he was still there last year. Right? He was at TCU in Fort Worth, which is a beautiful city. And he, for like 22 years, 23 years, that's big brain Brad stuff right there.
I don't think he's the best, though.
Okay, he's not, but he's like business Hall of Fame for like as a
okay.
coach. Big B, as a coach, you want stability, right?
Sure.
And what
Oh,
better
no,
stability is
sure.
that than you're at one spot for 23 years?
And then they ran him out of there.
Man, get out. Hey,
They did. That was a very
They
unceremonious
literally
end. Yeah.
ran him out of there.
But if you live long
Even
enough to see
Christmas.
yourself become the villain, right?
Yes.
I think people like him now at TCU, but
give him, yeah.
But yeah, it was a tough end. And man, they were snubbed. What was that? 2014 was that the first year of the playoffs that they were absolutely snubbed when it comes to the
they went
committee?
from 3 to 6 after they'd won 55-3.
Yeah, like that
we should call it the TCU, not the FSU.
No, honestly,
TCU.
Like I think TCU has more of a gripe to be upset than Florida State does.
God, you're number 3 the whole time and 55-3. Not good enough.
Was that the one where Bob Bowlesby didn't crown? They did Big 12 champions.
Yes, because they didn't have a Big 12 title game.
Yeah,
and so then the committee came back and held it against them and said, "Well, because you didn't have a Big 12 title game, you're not really a champion."
They literally moved the goalposts before they even did it.
Oh yeah.
So we'll put Ohio State in, who happened to not win the Big 12 or the Big 10. I think they did, but they had a loss. Yeah. So we'll move them in because they're better than you, even though they were like at 6 at the time.
Yeah.
So we're going to move them up.
And TCU beat Baylor in the head-to-head. And they're like, no, we're not going to count that. We're going to do something different. We have a different formula.
And Baylor was like 6 or something like that. Yeah. It's crazy.
I think that was the reason that the Big 12 was like, okay, we need to add the championship game back.
Correct. They added it the very next year.
And then it screwed them over, right?
Yes, because teams kept getting beat in it, and they didn't qualify.
Story of the Big 12, man, just screwing themselves over. That's just the story of the Big 12.
They just can't. They trip over their own feet.
But what I was gonna say about Alabama, see, Big B, I always thought that Michigan was gonna win that game. That's the vibe I got always as I was watching it, that Michigan was gonna win. I always had that vibe. Okay. But there's something interesting about like Alabama is like this team this year is like, this isn't Nick Saban's most talented Alabama team.
Absolutely not.
But like what he was able to do with this team, I think was maybe one of his.
Stop it.
I legitimately think it was maybe one of his most impressive coaching feats. With what he was able to do with this team. And I know like we can point to the committee and everything like that for getting them into the playoff, but like a team that we pretty much all year were like, this isn't the same old Bama. Like this isn't the same old Bama. Still in the college football playoff with the overtime were a really bad play call on 4th down away from making the title game again.
Why are you running right at him? Right? Like why?
The quarterback draw on 4th down, 4th and 6.
It was supposed to be a quarterback power, but the bad snap and the quarterback panicked. Because if he follows the guard, if you see the all 22 version of it, if he literally follows the guard, the linebacker on the play side had run up the field. He overruns the play. He walks into the end zone if he just follows him.
He absolutely panicked. He absolutely panicked.
Yep, he panicked and just
ran. Tackle got
but my whole thing is most of the time now, Nick, you can, and both of you guys can attest to this. Quarterback bad snap panic. The first thought isn't, I'm running right up the middle.
I know, right at him. Go back to where the ball came from.
That is not what you do when you panic, man.
Less than ideal.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Less.
Oh, I think I saw that the right tackle has entered the transfer portal, and he got
so did the center.
Dominated that whole game. So they had some guys enter the transfer portal after that game. That's how it works. But I like the matchup of Washington and Michigan in the national championship. I think that'll be a good game. I really love to watch Washington. It's every time I watch Washington, I'm like I forget how much I love to watch that offense work. Defense is a different story, but their offense is like one of those. I'm just like, I love this team so much, and I love every single guy that they got on the field. Michael Penix is incredible. Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk, like McMillan, like Dylan Johnson, like they got so many dudes that I just like love to watch them play football. It reminds me a little bit of TCU last year of like just their offense was one of those I just like, wow, I love to watch every single guy play football on this offense.
It's 98 K-State.
Yeah.
Because Penix can launch that ball.
Yeah.
Like Mike Bishop. Mm-hmm. He can throw some pretty rainbows. Pretty.
He had good left guard blocking though. I mean, that's
right. Yeah,
that's
right.
That's a big
ball. He would have got no balls off if he didn't have such a good left guard.
And they're purple, but it's gonna ruin a streak that I'm always like, Miami. Why Miami sucks now? It's because they went to Adidas. You know why Michigan's back?
Oh yeah,
it's because they got rid of Adidas.
That's right.
Years, so yeah. So That's the underlying factor here. The real power struggle.
Nike versus
See what
Adidas
happens.
never had a champion in the college football playoff era. So
right.
this could be the first Adidas champion. And they do like the fractal. I watched a TikTok about this. The fractal swooshes. I don't know if you've seen what they do. Like for like the teams that make the college football playoff and or have ever made the college football playoff do fractal swooshes that are like diamond. They're like supposed to look like diamond, and they do it for every team that's ever made the college football playoff. They do it in the NBA too. Rules are different for the NBA and like how they kind of do these fractal things. Adidas does not have anything like that yet because they haven't gotten this far yet. But like I think it's a really cool thing that Nike does. Like, oh, you've been to the college football playoff, you can use this like fractal swoosh on.
That's so cool.
It's a fractal Jordan for Michigan, obviously. But they just take Nike football stuff and put the Jordan logo on it, which I think is wildly interesting.
They get the good Jordans. They get the good Jordans. You see the gift bag, the Michigan gift bag.
They
got a Louis bag, They got a Louis bag, and they got some brand new Jordans. Sort of what Shorty used to do for us.
Oh man! I mean, you had to steal shorts from Shorty. You had to literally go steal them. Unbelievable.
These kids today.
A Louis bag.
Getting Louis bags.
And Jordans.
And
two new pairs of Jordans.
Unreal. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. We went a little bit longer. Been a while since we all got together, so that's why we went a little bit longer. Appreciate everybody sticking to the end of the podcast. Got some good games this week. Make sure to keep an eye out on Big B's Steelers. Chiefs will be playing at 3:25 against the Chargers in LA. Predictable time slot. Too bad it can't be a Newton Central game. They don't really do those on the West Coast. But I wish that it would have been a noon game. Regardless, the Chiefs will play the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes not playing. Travis Kelce, hopefully he plays to get his 16 yards and his streak will continue. But that's going to do it for Outside the Trenches. Let us know how you enjoyed the show. We really do appreciate you guys hanging out with us, watching live at the time, or listening after the fact. For Nick Leckey and Big B, Brien Hanley, I'm Tucker Franklin. We'll talk to y'all next week.